Please listen carefully.
Well, hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers McKay.
And I'm Kristy Jansen, and we are part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help us all get focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, allergy season-worthy podcast. Today is Thursday, the 7th of April, 2022. How are you doing this spring in California allergies?
I'm fine. When I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I started getting terrible allergies. And then I started taking vitamins, actually. I read this book by Dr. Andrew Weil called 8 Weeks to Optimum Health. And it really inspired me. And I started taking vitamins and I started eating more broccoli and salmon and things like that. And it was literally within about 3 weeks, my allergies suddenly went away. And I had prescription allergy medication that I had to take every day. And I actually stopped needing it. Now I do take like Claritin or something when I need it in the seasonal, but I've really not been having an issue for the last 20 years.
Probably should write a solution about that because that sounds amazing.
I know. Yeah.
I'm in a new environment and there's lots of new allergens. And in Austin or in Texas in general, there's this thing called Cedar Fever where everyone gets really bad allergies and everyone thinks they have the flu because they have such bad allergies. But I have this funny thing where I actually don't feel that bad, but my eyes have been really itchy. And so I've been rubbing my eyes and I have this perpetual bruise in between my eyes that you can see if you look. Do you see?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Well, do we have a solution? We wrote about allergies, I think, the other day, like on Monday, maybe.
You know what? I should go back and read it. But nonetheless, it's definitely allergy season for many of us.
Yeah.
It's also spring and it's beautiful and it's expansive and it feels good to be out and about in the world. Is the world looking pretty in Santa Barbara for you?
Oh, yeah. It's quite nice.
That's like the understated Santa Barbara in you. Oh, yes, it's quite nice.
Consistently beautiful. It's a little windy this morning.
There was this one David Sedaris podcast or interview where he was like, Santa Barbara is so proper that it cools down just long enough for you to wear your cashmere. But otherwise, it's perfect. All right, let's just get straight to the news today. We've got a lot to do. It's a busy Thursday. We have our editorial meeting coming up. Do you want to start? What story got you excited this morning?
This one is a little funny, but I really liked it. I was taken with it. The headline reads, 3 reasons it's completely okay to not want children. I think it's an interesting thing to talk about because there's so much societal pressure on people to become parents, especially women. But that's not necessarily the path that is going to make sense for every single person. I know some of my women friends who have chosen not to have children or who are not able to have children. And there's so much sort of parent worship, I would say. I do have a child, but I had a baby very late in life. And not very late, but relatively late. I was in my, mid towards late 30s. So I was a geriatric.
Yeah, not as late as I did, but still.
Not as late as you. But, I was still a geriatric mother.
Right.
But still, I felt that mismatch between my lifestyle and some of my peers who were in the throes of being parents of young children, which now you're going through. But there's so many great things you can do with your life that don't necessarily include having children. As a matter of fact, a lot of young people are looking at the world today and making the decision not to have children. And that can be sad in one hand, but it could also be an empowering decision that you can take. There's a lot of wonderful things about not being a parent.
Just to reframe it, because you said it can be sad on one side. And the truth is, this story is not about how it can be sad on one side, because it's sad only if we define it by traditional roles and expectations. Like, that I waited a really long time to become a mother to a small person. I loved becoming a mother to older children and gave it my all. Thought I wasn't going to be able to have a small person myself. And there was grief around that, but that was only my own grief. There are many people for whom there isn't that grief.
Absolutely.
There instead is expansive joy. the sadness doesn't have to be part of it at all.
And that's why, like, each person's journey is their own journey. But for some people, the reasons that they're deciding not to have children can be rooted in pain. And for others, that's the decision. And so this is an article about how to feel empowered in that decision.
Yeah.
First of all, you get to decide your own narrative. And it's easy to get outside opinions from the world kind of stuck in your head. The idea that there's this lack of completion, or that there's something you're missing out on, or that you're not going to fit in. But that is a societal expectation that really doesn't have to be how we define ourselves. Children are a lot of work. And it's great if you have like a niece or nephew, you can hang out with them and then you can give them back to their parents, and you don't have to, be that person. So there's something, like you said, it's an expansive choice. It can be an expansive choice. Another thing to realize is that those in your life who are pressuring you to have kids are going to be fine if you don't. It's not your job to please other people, even though it's hard to break away from that, because we all, especially women, feel obligated to make others happy, especially when those people we really love or care about. But they're going to be fine. And finally, you're strong. Sometimes emotions can feel like they're going to destroy us, but in the end, we can get through them. And they may come up around not having children, but I like your reminder to embrace the expansiveness and the possibilities that are available in that, and, to become a different sort of wise elder. You don't have to be a parent to be wise. You don't have to be a parent to affect young people and to affect the world and the future of the world. Honestly, dogs are easier than kids.
I love this story because I think you're absolutely right that we do elevate parenthood and motherhood so much in our experiences. And I think a big part of that is that those of us who are parents to young people are so desperate to be seen, because parenting in this modern world is so very different than it used to be. And there's so much isolation involved in the way that we've built our suburban societies that we are almost clamoring vocally to be seen as parents who work, and aren't we amazing for all the things we do? And what it ends up doing is eclipsing the fact that like a contribution to community and to society doesn't have necessarily to do with like raising the person from whom you gave birth, or for whom you adopted.
Absolutely.
We are contributing as a community together. And I think about some of the most important aunties in my daughter's life, and they're women who do not have children, and they are so meaningful in our context and in our family.
And let's not leave out the men who don't have children, who can actually give tremendous amount of attention and support and inspiration to young people who are not their children.
Well, thank you for choosing that story, Kristy. I have a story that's a little bit different. This is about medical technology, and I'm kind of excited to talk about it. So this method predicts blood cancer relapse in 10 seconds. There are a lot of people across the globe in the fields of cancer research inventing ingenious ways to diagnose, prevent, treat, and cure illness, such as non-invasive minima therapy using MRI scanners or mRNA vaccines that carry out targeted cancer therapy. Now, there's a new one out there from Vanderbilt University Medical Center that has been invented using a type of diagnostic tool which can rapidly predict blood cancer relapses from a 10-second video of the patient's white blood cells.
Wait, so that's cool. So they're using a video. It's a diagnostic tool that uses video imaging as opposed to static imaging.
Right.
Tell me more about it.
And so what it is this whole new optical video analysis is really growing as a tool set in identifying at the most base level what is happening in the blood, which is an indicator of what's happening as far as cancer goes. So white blood cells are immune cells which circulate in our blood to fight off foreign invaders. Blood cancers, like leukemia, which is a cancer of the cells and blood-forming tissues, including bone marrow and lymphatic system, when they occur, excessive amounts of white blood cells can build up and they don't function properly. This leads to increased risk of death from infections and other clogged blood vessels. Through studying immune cell motion, the team was able to predict which of the 56 bone marrow and stem cell transplant patients were likely to relapse. If their white blood cells adhered to their vein walls and rolled along these at a higher rate than average, they were more likely to relapse or die. That is basically saying if the white blood cells were misbehaving, were not working the way that they should properly, they were more likely to be ill. This study kind of raises the prospect of a new application of so-called diagnostic optical biopsies, said Eric Tazaski, I don't know, sorry, Eric, who led the study, with a special confocal microscope brought to stem cell and bone marrow transplants for non-invasive inspection of their skin right at the bedside. They continued in their quote, while this pilot study of just over 50 patients, 56 we just learned, it would appear to point strongly to the potential of clinical application for improved evaluation and management. This model is a bit more accurate than previously predictive methods. It's non-invasive, easy to carry out, and returns results quickly, and then can advise the physicians and medical care providers on the best tools and tactics to fight the resurgence of said blood cancer. I love this story. I'm very, very personally interested in optical biopsies and ways of looking microscopically at our, it's like diving into the biome, diving into what is deep down inside of us to indicate our health. And I think this is a really cool one. So well done, Vanderbilt. Super exciting. Hey, there's other super exciting health stories today, Kristy. What do we got?
There's a simple UV LED light that could be used to kill coronavirus and HIV. Australia adds 127 reptiles to global treaty against wildlife trade. These 10 hacks will make you a pro at cleaning your own home.
Oh my gosh, that's so my story. And the next one's so my story too. This chemical compound of love, oxytocin, turns lions into kittens. And 4 questions to make your grocery run more sustainable. There are a few other stories, but guys, we are busy today. We got to rock and roll and get on to that editorial meeting. Hey, everybody, thank you for listening to today's Optimist Daily Update. We promise to continue to share positive, solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in this changing world and ensure it is changed for the good. We also promise to cover the current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offer you the information needed most. Hey, Kristy, why don't we let an emissary take us home today? What do you think?
Sounds like a good idea.
Hi, I'm Joyce Catlett. I'm from Santa Barbara, and I'm originally from Lexington, Kentucky. And on behalf of the Optimist Daily's emissary community, I invite you to consider joining us on our mission to effect real change with a solutions-focused consciousness. Optimist Daily is a great way to start my day off. It starts off in an upbeat mood, and I especially like the descriptions about potential solutions to the serious environmental problems we're all facing today. I also enjoy reading about topics that challenge old patterns of thinking, both politically and personally. So, for as little as $5 a month, you can support reader-funded independent journalism and contribute to making the world a better place. So let's keep the Optimist Daily free for all who need it, supported by those of us who can. Tune in tomorrow for another episode full of solutions.